Hey there, welcome to another Showgirl story time. I want to talk today about lines. I've been talking about them in some of my videos about being a bluebell and all of the things on my IGTV, but now I want to talk about all of the lines in the show because it's come up a lot in some of my podcast interviews, and I thought maybe some people don't understand what that means. So I'm going to define it for you. So a line is basically just a group of dancers, and they categorized all of the dancers in the show. There was over 130 dancers when the show first opened. By the time I got to the show, there were only 85 dancers in the show. But they still had to organize these groups of people so that the show could move, and it was very highly choreographed on stage and off stage. So it was very dangerous to be in that show, and you had to be in the right place. If you were not, you could die. That's kind of how it worked. So they needed a way to organize the groups of people, and they called them lines. Each line had a line captain and a swing, and there's a whole video about line captains and swings that's coming. So watch out for that. And so here we go. There were 5 female lines, female dancer lines, and then one big group of boys. So they covered dancers were the bluebells. There were short bluebells and tall bluebells. And short bluebells ranged from 5'8". You had to be at least 5'8" to be in the show. 5'8" to 5'9", 5'10", somewhere in there. And then there were tall bluebells who were 5'9" to sometimes 5'10" to 6 foot or taller. And it was the same thing for the nudes. The nudes were the topless dancers, and they were short nudes and tall nudes. Again, same kind of height. When I was in the show, we had a girl that was 6'3" with no heels on. So, and I'm 5'9". So she was like half a foot taller than me, which is crazy, but cool. So they had, it was, a span of heights, and that's how they organized the dancers. They also had a line of girls called the Ebony line, and I'm still learning about that line. I had read that Don Arden created the Ebony line for this woman back in the 70s for Hello Hollywood Hello, and she wouldn't go topless, and so he created a whole line for her to dance, and everyone in the line was African American or dark skinned. And so that I thought that was pretty cool, and I've been since learning that it was actually quite difficult to be a person of color back in the 70s and 80s into the 90s, because most shows only hired one, and so that was difficult. But there was a whole line, and it was when it started, I believe six girls strong, and by the time I got there, it was about 4. And then they ended up calling it line 4 because the Ebony line was offensive to some, and so they changed the name to line 4, so it was more politically correct. And then there were the boys, and I believe there were about 28 boys when I was in the show. Of course, they cut the cast more even after I left, which I didn't think was possible, but they did. And then they had singers and principals. So the singers, they had some chorus singers and some principal singers. There was 6 females and 6 males. And I believe it was 1 or 2 of those were principals of the male and female, and the rest were chorus singers. And then the principal dancers, male and female. And that makes up all the lines. I hope that clears up some stuff that's been coming up in my podcast. If you haven't heard my podcast, you can go to showgirls.life/podcast, and the episodes will be listed there. We're talking about all kinds of things about being in Jubilee, being a showgirl in Las Vegas, and confidence, how it has helped us in our lives because we were showgirls. So check out the podcast. A new episode comes out every Saturday. So I will see you on the other side.